Here we are at a new visit under the sky of Rome, sotto il cielo di Roma. A visit to a place that the whole world invites us, the most beautiful bridge in the world, the bridge of Castel Sant'Angelo, the bridge of the angels. A work that comes from afar times of ancient Roma, but which then had its absolute value with the work of Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the 17th century. A place that is truly worth knowing. Would you like to go? The birth of this bridge is linked to a great Roman emperor, Publius Aelio Hadriano, who reigned for 21 years from 117 to 138 AD. A man of great culture, lover of art and architecture, was left very high testimonies of this love in many parts of the empire. Just think of the Villa Adriana in Tivoli, the remaking of the Pantheon in Rome, the great and long wall built at the borders between Britannia and Caledonia, present-day Scotland. In 135 AD, feeling close to the end of his life, Hadrianus asked the architect Demetriano to build a funeral mausoleum for himself and his family. He was well aware of the circular shape wanted by Emperor Augustus a century and a half earlier, in 24 BC, on the banks of the Tiber, but he wanted to have his one of gigantic dimension. The choice of location was the bank opposite Campo Marzio, near the Orti Domiziani, where there was a villa built by Domitia Longina, wife of the Emperor Domitian, about 50 years earlier. The mausoleum was composed by a cubic base covered with marble, on which there was a drum also covered in travertine marble, and above it stood a mound of trees surrounded by statues, surmounted by a tower adorned with a bronze quadriga led by Emperor Hadrian. The works were completed after Hadrianus' death by his successor Antonino Pius in 139. Later, in the mausoleum, all the emperors of the Antonini and Severi dynasty were buried up to Caracalla in 217 AD. Hadriano asked the architect also build a bridge that allowed access to the mausoleum from the Campo Marzio. The work was divided into 3 arches, the ones that we see in the center of the bridge today, connected to the banks with 2 inclined ramps. And to this bridge was given the name of Aelio, one of the emperor's first names. Over time, the Hadrianeum began to undergo changes of destination, which obviously also affected the bridge. In 271, the Emperor Aurelian included the mausoleum in the new city walls, and in the following centuries it became the center of a real fortified citadel. The columns, the statues, the quadriga, and the statues of Hadrian that had adorned it disappeared, and the mausoleum was transformed forever into a military bulwark. After the fall of the Roman Empire in 476, the popes definitely transformed this structure into a fortress, which took the name of Castellum. And the same Aelian bridge was integrated with defense tower and heavy portals. They began to call it Ponte San Pietro, as it represented the only direct access to reach the Vatican Basilica from the north side of the city. But in 590, this place is the protagonist of an extraordinary event. Rome is hit by a terrible plague. The Pope Gregory the Great invites the Romans to ask for divine help with the procession. The entire Roman population is divided into 7 processions, which converge towards St. Peter from various churches in Roma. Arriving at the Castellum, Pope Gregory, looking up, sees on its top the Archangel Michael, who wipes the sword, dripping with blood, and puts it back in this scabbard. In that event, the Pope sees the sign of that God has accepted the prayers of the people. And in fact, the plague ceases. In memory of that prodigious event, the Pope erects a statue of San Michael on the Castellum. Over the century, 6 statues have alternate on its summit. The last one, which we see today, has been here since 1752 and is the work of a talented Flemish sculptor. From this moment, the San Pietro Bridge becomes Ponte Sant'Angelo. Centuries pass, and in the Middle Age, the bridge became the compulsory passage for pilgrims who came from all over Europe to pray on Peter's tombs and venerate the Veil of Veronica, the precious relic of the Passion of Christ preserved in St. Peter's. In the year 1300, Pope Boniface VIII called the first Jubilee in the history, and the number of pilgrims who come to Roma increases enormously. And to avoid dangerous gatherings, the authorities regulate the passage on the bridge with the creation of double direction, the faithful heading to St. Peter on the right, those returning on the left. We have a particular witness of this logistical device by our great poet Dante, who probably came to Roma at that time. In the 18th chant of the Hell, Inferno, Dante compares the progress of 2 ranks of sinners in the Malebolge precisely to that of the pilgrims who pass on the Ponte Sant'Angelo in the Jubilee. But in 1450, at the time of Pope Nicholas V, a tragedy occurred on the bridge. The pilgrims who crowded the bridge, due to some raging horses, get scared, and in the crash that followed, the balustrade of the bridge, they give away, and 172 people died drowned in the river. This misfortune pushed the Pope, in addition to reinforcing the banks of the bridge, to demolish several houses on the side of the city to allow better outflow for pilgrims. And in the memory of this tragic event, he built 2 small round chapels on the bridge, right at the entrance from the side of Campo Marzio, dedicated to Santa Maria Maddalena and the Holy Innocents. In 1533, Clement VII replaced the chapels with 2 statues dedicated to St. Peter and St. Paul, the ones we still see today. Later, another 8 statues representing the evangelists and the patriarchs were added, and they will be removed in the 17th century when Bernini will make the new bridge. Starting from the early 16th century, unfortunately, the square created on this part of the bridge became the place where the execution of death took place. And on the bridge itself, the bodies or the heads of the condemned were often exposed. Being a place of great transit, it was the most suitable solution to send a clear message of the papal justice to anyone who might be concerned. But let's get to year 1668. Clement IX decided on a general restoration of the Sant'Angelo Bridge and entrust the project to Gian Lorenzo Bernini, who despite his 69 years rushes into the project. First of all, he had two minor arches built at the ends of the bridge for a better arrangement of the entrances. These were replaced in 1892 by the new Kingdom of Italy by two arches identically to the central ones. In addition, Bernini replaced the pre-existing closed parapets with stone balustrade interspersed with bronze gate that allowed the view of the river. But what statuary decoration is to be placed on the bridge? Bernini perceives well the strong symbolic value that this bridge has and must have. It's the only access road that leads to St. Peter, the heart of Christianity, almost a gateway to paradise. And on the bridge called Sant'Angelo, who better than angels could accompany the faithful in this last stretch of his physical and spiritual journey? Bernini then designs a Via Crucis, a crossway, with 10 beautiful angels who carry the symbols of the Passion of Christ in their hands, and arrange them in an orderly manner on both sides, following its different moment from the flagellation to the crucifixion. And on the pedestal of each angel, the Pope asked that passages from the Old and New Testament be engraved in Latin to help the faithful in their meditation. But Bernini immediately understands that he cannot complete this work by himself and entrusts the execution of 8 of the 10 angels to other talented artists of his trust, who, faithful to their master design, will however perform them each with their own artistic template. He will personally sculpt only 2, the angel with the crown of thorns and the angel with the titulus. However, these 2, considered too beautiful to be exposed to the weather, were replaced by copies. The originals, later, will be donated to the Church of Sant'Andrea delle Fratte in Roma, where they can still be admired today. At the end, the result is an absolute masterpiece of art, but also an engaging experience of Christian faith. Walking slowly along the bridge, perhaps early in the morning or late in the evening, it is a truly precious experience, which I recommend to everyone. Meanwhile, I invite you to start admiring them in the virtual walk that will now follow. And this will be without comment, so that you can fully enjoy it. As you have seen, this bridge and this castle are truly one of the wonders of Roma. And since the end of the 17th century, many artists from all over Europe, when photography still did not exist, have immortalized this corner of the Eternal City to bring the beauty of this place to their countries. And nowadays, we don't need brushes or cameras or cellular phone to enjoy all this. We just need to get up from our armchair and go. Here ends our little adventure to discover the Ponte Sant'Angelo. Thank you for your attention, and I give you an appointment for the next episode. Goodbye.